I mentioned this earlier in the week, the time frame of Charles Barkley meeting with the Live Tour, also his thoughts, also the possibility that Gary McCord would be joining the Live Tour, and McCord's good buddy David Faraday has also already announced that he is joining the Live Tour. Andrew Marchand has been at the head of this story more than anybody else. New York Post sports media columnist, co-host of Marchand and Oran, the sports media podcast. You spoke with Charles. What was your feeling that what he was going to do with the Live Tour?
He said he'd love to do both Turner and Live. That was kind of ideal for him. Obviously, it depends on how much money they're going to offer him. I reported and Charles confirmed that he makes $10 million a year from Turner. Then you add his endorsements, which I don't know that number, but you got to think 3 to 5 maybe. So Liv's going to have to come with a big number. That said, I think Turner knew that the market has changed with the Tom Brady $375 million deals. Troy Aikman, Tony Romo making 18. You got the greatest studio analyst of all time, iconic show inside the NBA at 10 million. Again, it's a lot of money, but they kind of knew that I think a new deal was coming anyway.
I got to figure to get Charles' attention, maybe $25 million. And if you look at what he means, I mean, look at the publicity he's generated. Far more than Dustin Johnson or Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, Charles could renegotiate right now in the past couple of days to say, look at all the attention that I'm bringing you. I guess the curiosity of this is, will TNT allow him to do this?
So he's Charles Barkley, right? This is different than if it's me, right? He's so important to inside the NBA. They do have a good relationship. And I think ultimately, if he says, look, I want to do Live, I don't think they're going to say, they're not just going to let him go, right? They're going to either offer more money and give him a huge say, hey, look, we'll match the money or come close to it. And you just have to do your regular job. And you get a huge raise and it works out for you. Or they say, you know what? We'll let you do these events, but we want you on inside the NBA. Maybe you change the schedule a little bit, but not that much. I think it's possible. I don't really see a scenario where Barkley's not on Turner. I'd be really surprised if that's the final where we end up here.
I wondered that he did the interview with you. He did an interview with the PGA Tour podcast, almost kind of sending up that trial balloon to say, let me kind of guess which way the winds are blowing here. Did you get any sense of that he sort of wanted to get feedback before he makes the decision?
Yeah, he's very smart and he's his own man. So I don't know, like there could be a method to, the whole thing of what he's doing. If you were trying to kind of get some more leverage with Turner, this would be a good way to approach it. But I do think he's interested in it. I mean, he's going to play in the Pro-Am next week at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey before their next event, which is going to be a scene for sure. And that kind of made sense to me. Again, I don't know if he thought this out, but that's going to be because of Trump, because it's near New York and 9/11. There's going to be a lot of attention on that. And I don't think the attention really is going to be on Barkley that much, a little bit, but it'll be more on the golfers, more on Trump, more on the event, and kind of, he's already kind of, then he'll put his foot, okay, I've played with with this group. And then if he were to go, I think it kind of lessens it. And I will say this is the other thing that I think is very, like, everyone in media should follow Charles, because like I asked him every question. I don't think, I think I asked him every question and he just answered them all, right? He even brought up, because his big thing that everyone takes blood money. And he even brought up Nike, which endorses him. Like no one else would do that, right? Only Charles Barkley. But I do think it helps him just to answer the questions, because he's already answered his questions and what he thinks. And you can disagree with him, you can agree with him, whichever, but he's explained himself. And I feel like the golfers, especially, just have done, they're not Charles Barkley, but they just had no answers and they knew the questions were coming. You'd think you'd have a little bit more of some answers.
How do you get your money out of Barkley if you're the Live Tour?
I think they already have. Like, I think, okay. I quite honestly, part of it, like, when you read the article I wrote, and you hear his reasoning. Like you again, you might not like it, but at least it's coherent and makes sense of what he's saying. He's pointing that other people are in business with the Saudi-backed, the same group that's backing Greg Norman and Live. And so that's one way. I also think he adds credibility. And in his dinner with Greg Norman, Norman told Barkley, because according to Barkley, that he thinks they're going to get a TV deal. You bring in Charles Barkley, it helps you get a TV deal. Again, best studio analyst, sports analyst of all time. That helps you have credibility. You have Faraday already in. You already brought in Arlo White. You have a credible broadcast. It's not a bunch of like no names doing this. This is a good broadcast they could potentially have. Now, if you're a huge golf guy, do you want to hear from Charles Barkley? Maybe, maybe not, but he is fun and he's a very entertaining guy.
Yeah, I like him when it's gimmicky golf, when it's the match and it's Rodgers and Brady, and he can lighten them up a little bit. Some comic relief. The Live Tour, okay. I mean, I would have him play in every event. That like if you're going to have fun with him and have him mic'd up on the course and have him interact with players, something like that. As far as the TV partner or media partner, who are you hearing might carry the Live Tour?
And Dan, I just want to piggyback on what you just said. He did say that with his talks with Norman, it was more of a smorgasbord of things. It doesn't seem like he's going to do straight analysis. So it does sound as if like what you're the kind of how you said to use them, that might be where they're thinking. In terms of a TV deal, now I think they've met with everybody, just to sort of, kind of have an initial meeting. People take meetings, but I don't think anything's there yet. A lot of people have pointed to people who have relationships with the PGA. Maybe they wouldn't be interested. So you look, Turner internationally with the merger, they do have a relationship with the PGA, but Turner, that makes some sense. Maybe Fox. I don't think Greg Norman and Fox really ended on great terms. Mm-hmm. But when you think about distribution, right, this isn't going to be a big money deal, right? We're not talking, the NFL type $1 billion deals. This is going to be, you're not going to have to pay that much. And the more top golfers that go, this is becoming a legitimate business. And it's not, the focus that we're on now is probably going to fade because just the questions will stop being, because there's not going to be more answers. There's not, and the questions will kind of stop eventually, at least to a degree. And I think getting Barkley, let's say they bring in Barkley and his sponsors don't drop him, I do think that kind of changes the game a little bit.
Well, I think Subway's trying to branch out into Saudi Arabia, so I don't think that they're going to be dropping him. And he could do commercials there. Capital One, I don't know if they're going to kick him to the curb. We're talking to Andrew Marchand, the New York Post sports media columnist. David Faraday felt like he had been marginalized a little bit by NBC and Golf Channel. Used to be very, very popular there at age, 62, 63. Probably thought, you know what, grab a paycheck, have some fun, right off into the sunset. What was the reaction from NBC when Faraday decided that he wanted to leave?
Yeah, they let him out seems easily. Like you said, they canceled his Golf Channel show. He wasn't as vital on their broadcasts. He came over from CBS, maybe 7-8 years ago, where, he kind of was at his peak. And so, I don't think he was really happy with them. And then, like you said, I don't know the exact numbers for what Faraday got, but it definitely was a substantial raise, the amount and less work, so it's, when you, again, there's a political aspect to this and a civil liberty and, the killing of a journalist. There's a lot of really serious things. And so I don't want to make any light of those. But when you just look at it in terms of what his day-to-day life is, it's more money and less work. And probably will be more of a focus in terms of, how the broadcasts are presented.
It's a great concept. More money, less work. A lot of people, I think everybody is looking at that. I'd sign up for that. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go to the Live Tour. The NFL broadcasting look, how will it look differently this season?
It's going to be massively different. Let's start with Monday Night Football. You'll see Joe Buck and Troy Aikman there. That was a huge move and another big money move. Aikman signed a 5-year, $90 million contract. Buck signed a 5-year, $75 million deal. So they leave Fox, they go to ESPN for Monday Night Football. Monday night finally kind of stabilizes that booth after a long time of kind of going with different folks. At Fox, they're replaced by Kevin Burkhardt, who's one of the more likable guys in the business, who moves up from the 2 slot to 1. And then Greg Olson will be his partner. And then Tom Brady's in the on deck circle, waiting to be the number 1 when he finally stops playing. You go to NBC. They let Al Michaels go. They wanted to go with Mike Tirico. So Mike Tirico is now your play-by-player on Sunday Night Football with Chris Collinsworth. They also have a new sideline reporter, Melissa Stark, in for Michelle Tafoya. And then Al went to Amazon, which is going to be probably the biggest story. You talk about all these things. I think Amazon, this is an historic thing for sports media and how you watch games. Amazon's going to have exclusive rights to Thursdays, and it's going to be Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit in that main booth.
This is a serious question.
Okay.
Who has more money, Amazon or the Live Tour and their backers?
I mean, that's a good question. I would say the Live Tour seems to have more money to spend. Like Amazon still, they kind of have a business going. And so, they've been on some deals, like Champions League is coming up, and I think they're going to go heavy for it. Amazon, Apple can just spend whatever they want. It's not really going to impact them, but they treat, as they should, and why they're so successful. They treat it as businesses. The Live Tour at this point, I've had people, in the golf TV world not really feel like this. They really have a business plan here. So I would say they have more money to, quote, burn.
Did Chris Collinsworth get a bump in his pay that's up there with Tony Romo and Troy Aikman?
Chris Collinsworth, I reported that before. So the NBC did a good job kind of locking him up. So Chris Collinsworth's going to have to make do at a mere $12.5 million a year, working 5-6 months on that. Wow. So he's not getting the $18 million, but he boxed out Drew Brees and got a new deal for 12.5. And he's also, I think, doing very well with that PFF. I think that's doing well. I think that's going to be is going to be a moneymaker for him.
How did NBC miss on Drew Brees that he was he brought in to be the heir apparent for Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football?
They'll claim no, but obviously yes, right? Like if he nailed it, he was great in studio and then was awesome on Notre Dame games. Now, I would say this. I don't think Drew Brees is as bad as everyone made him out to be, right? Like I don't think he had a bad playoff game. It was a tough spot. He hadn't done NFL games. It did move a little quick, and it was very strange down the end. It was just Tirico talking. It was just an odd, bad broadcast. That said, plenty of people have had bad broadcasts and have good careers. I'm not as low on Drew Brees. I also wasn't as high on him coming out. He just doesn't seem to have that personality that you want. I think he could be like an Aikman type, who has a little more personality, but kind of gives you that, real quarterback X and O's kind of thing. So I don't know. I think Brees, he's not going to end up at Fox. I think if he wanted to stay in this, the move was to go to Fox and be the number 2 and reestablish yourself. Maybe he does a little, a game or 3 with Amazon and some kind of, quarterback thing. But I don't know. The ship, it might have sailed a little bit, because if there's a number 1 job, Drew Brees is not getting that. So unless he's willing to take a 2, I don't think we're going to see him in the booth.
Good to talk to you again, Andrew. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Andrew Marchand, New York Post sports media columnist.